Israel and the region in a world in which the Iran threat, nuclear, missile, and terror has been neutralized, and now we're looking at something very, very different than Israel has ever known before. What is that vision of yours?
It's a vision of amazing peace and prosperity between us and the moderate Arab states. We could be doing amazing things together.
Naftali Bennett, either officially or unofficially, wants to run for Prime Minister of Israel. And he has a vision for what Israel could look like. But what does a two-state solution look like under Naftali Bennett leadership? And what does the Middle East and Abraham Accords look like as well? Let's take a look at this clip over here, this interview that he does, and we'll listen to it and then we'll talk about it together. But first, hit that subscribe button over there in the corner. We'd love to stay in touch. Check this out.
You are the leading potential candidate. You haven't announced. We're pressing you, but you're not ready to say it. You have put together a political party. You're leading in every poll for more than a year significantly. If you put together a party, formally announced, and elections are held anytime in the near future, it looks like you would be the next Prime Minister of Israel. So that's why people need to get to know you. Let's talk beyond that now. What is your vision for Israel and the region in a world in which the Iran threat, nuclear, missile, and terror has been neutralized, and now we're looking at something very, very different than Israel has ever known before? What is that vision of yours?
It's a vision of amazing peace and prosperity between us and the moderate Arab states. We could be doing amazing things together. We have a wonderful relationship with the Emirates, with Bahrain. We have a relationship with Egypt and Jordan, which is a bit cooler lately. But I think that once Iran is taken out of the equation, we could cut a deal and have peace with the Saudis, and that would in turn cascade to most of the Muslim world, because Saudi Arabia is the centerpiece of Islam in Mecca and Medina. So it would be amazing. In my previous life, I was a business person, an entrepreneur twice in high tech, and I think
very successful. I mean, selling companies for hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars.
Thank you. Yeah, that's how we can be here right now. And what I would strive to do is synergy between us and our neighbors, bringing our high tech knowledge, bringing their capabilities in execution and energy, etc. We could be really building a beautiful region here.
I agree with that. And as you know, I'm one of the few Israelis who's ever actually met Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman twice, once in Riyadh, once in Jeddah. And I think the only Israeli who's ever been photographed meeting with him. My perception from those trips is that, and this is pre-October 7th war, was that the Crown Prince and his leadership were moving pretty steadily towards making peace with Israel and wanting to have an integrated region. I'm wondering, and I'm curious what your take, if you think that the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia could make a deal with Netanyahu, given that the entire region sees Netanyahu as so integrated with the October 7th war and all the fighting and killing in Gaza. I'm not saying Netanyahu is wrong to fight this war. I'm saying, is it more difficult for the Saudis now to make a deal with someone who has become a pariah in many ways, even among the moderate Arabs who liked working with him and were willing to make those deals, the UAE, the Bahrainis, the Moroccans, and others? But what's your sense of, I mean, are you better able to do that, or does it go to basically just core national interests, and either the Saudis are going to do it or they're not? Because they're making a lot of noise right now that they're not ready. In fact, it seems like they're further from being ready than before October 7th.
There has been, unfortunately, some regression in the process, so we've seen them take a couple of steps back. I think together with America and the leadership of President Trump, I think we could get a normalization and hopefully a peace deal made. I'm not sure if it'll happen tomorrow, but I think new leadership in Israel would definitely be good news for Israel, for the region, for the world.
Now, one of the things that the Saudis are saying, and this goes to my question to you about vision, the Saudis are seeming to harden, I'm not sure if that's the right word, but I will use it. It seems to harden their position that a Palestinian state is an absolute essential. The Saudis and the French are holding a summit in New York at the UN with the Palestinian leadership, clearing the final pathway to announcing a Palestinian state. You were criticized pretty harshly in recent days by your political opponents who claimed that you were opening the doorway in 6-8 years to the possibility of a Palestinian state. What is your position on a Palestinian state? And how does that integrate with your vision of trying to make peace with the Saudis? Because I think you're against a Palestinian state.
I'm fed up with this obsession, especially coming from Europe, to impose on Israel another Palestinian state that would terrorize Tel Aviv, Ra'anana, where we are right now. We are about 10 minutes away from that supposed Palestinian state. And I'm asking Macron or any world leader, are you willing to live 10 minutes away from radical Islam? Stop it. Cut it out. That's enough. You know, we gave a Palestinian state to the Palestinians in Gaza back in 2005. We pulled out of all of Gaza. We pulled out our soldiers, pulled out all the citizens by force, expelled all the Jews there. We handed the entire land, the 1949 borders, to the Palestinians, and they turned it into a terror state, and they came to murder us. We're not going to make that mistake again. How many times European leaders pressure us? We will not commit suicide, not under my leadership.
I agree with you, but I'm not the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. So how do you thread that needle? What is the way forward in Gaza? And, you know, Mahmoud Abbas, the president of the Palestinian Authority, I think 19 years into his 4-year term, 80% of Palestinians say that Abbas should step down. So what is your vision of how Israel should interact with Palestinians, and how you will, you know, try to help me understand what the conversation with you and the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia would be to say, look, there's things we need from each other and want from each other and can do together, but this isn't one of them. I think that's what you're saying.
We could, I'm telling you that if we sit together, we could cut a deal of normalization, and we could figure out a path forward with the Palestinians. And it's a very simple formula. Maximum security for Israelis, maximum dignity and freedom for the Palestinians. We don't want to govern them. I don't want to govern them. We're not governing them. They have their own government, their own territory that they govern. They take their own taxes, their own sewage system, their own education system, which, by the way, they use it to incite against Jews. But maximum security, maximum dignity and freedom, and we could figure it out. That will not be a block towards peace with the Saudis.
A two-state solution was never really a solution, never really an option, unfortunately, on the table in any of this. Israel's tried many times, made many offers, had many discussions, agreed to many things over the decades, and it was never received, it was never agreed upon, because the goal is not for lasting peace for everyone. That's not what it is. It's about the destruction of Israel. And even when you're not talking about outright genocidal maniacs like Hamas, the Palestinian Authority themselves, the more liberal of the two in the so-called West Bank in Judea and Samaria, they still are paying pay for slay. That if somebody from their area does different sorts of terrorist activities, that the family is compensated for the person dying in facilitating a terrorist act. And so you can't make peace with a government body that is endorsing those things. After October 7th, I think the delusion of the two-state solution was sort of really made abundantly clear to everybody that this is just not an option. And so what they're talking about now, it seems, is that something where they have an ability to govern themselves with certain restrictions as far as not being able to attack Israel. So Israel would be sort of responsible for their defense and sort of in control of the airspace and whatnot, because we know, And at the end of the day, this is a question that's always asked. If Israel were to put down its weapons tomorrow, they would come in and destroy all of Israel. But if they were to put down their weapons tomorrow, there would be lasting peace. Because at the end of the day, Israel is in it for the peace. They want lasting peace in the region. They have no interest in having their citizens constantly bombarded by rockets and bus bombings and Sparrow Pizza Shop bombings. They don't want to continue living a life like this. Not a normal life for anyone to have to live. And God willing, through the process of this war and finishing off Hamas, that we can be in the next stage of discussions for a real and lasting long-term peace in the region. If you like this content overall, hit that subscribe button over there in the corner. We'd love to stay in touch. Take care.